Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the classes on Śrī Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu and Nectar of Devotion. So we will start without further ado with the Mangalacharan prayers. On Zoom, you can, well, it's online only, so please stay muted. I will recite, and then we will do lead follow of other verses. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya
Bhishtam Apitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Okay, we will start with our Nectar of Devotion classes. Let me share the screen and we will recite the verses. And all right. Okay, so whoops. Welcome to the classes on Śrī Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu, which is also Nectar of Devotion, the summary study by His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we will since Srila Prabhupada dedicated this Nectar of Devotion to the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, we will recite 2 verses of the Shad Goswami Ashtakam. So if possible, you can lead follow. So some of you or all of you can unmute as you desire and follow along line by line. And this is the Shardula Vikriditam meter. We have discussed it before. Okay. Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro Premamritambo Nidhi
Krishna Kirtan Dhanartan Pramo Paro Premamritambo Nidhi
Dhira Dhira Jana Priyo Priyakaro Nirmatsaro Pujito
Dhira Dhira Jana Priyo Priyakaro Nirmatsaro Pujito
Sri Chaitanya Kripa Bharo Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavahantarako
Sri Chaitanya Kripa Bharo Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavahantarako
Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalakau
Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo Shri
Shri
Jiva
Jiva
Gopalakau
Gopalakau
Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipunau Saddharma Sansthapaco
Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Saddharma
Saddharma Sansthapaco
Sansthapaco
Lokanam Hitakarinau Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakaro
Lokanam
Lokanam
Hitakarino Tribhuvane
Tribhuvane Manyo
Manyo
Saraniyakaro
Sharanyakaro
Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mattaliko
Radha
Radha
Krishna
Krishna
Padare
Padara
Vinda
Vinda
Bhajana
Bhajana
Nande
Nandena Mattaliko
Mattaliko
Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghujugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau
Vande
Vande
Rupa
Rupa
Sanatano
Sanatano
Raghuyuga
Raghuyugo
Shri Jiva
Shri Jiva
Gopalika.
Gopalako.
Thank you. Now we will sing the four or recite the four verses that are mandatory for memorizing for the Bhakti Shastri test. So again, lead follow very quickly, okay? Just the Sanskrit verses, but you are supposed to memorize the translation as well. Anyabhilashita shunyam
Anyabhilashita Sunyam
Sita Sunyam
Jnanakarmadhyanavritam
Jnani
Jnana Karma
Karmadhyanavritam
Dhyana Vritam
Anukulyena Krishnanu
Anukulyena
Dina
Krishnanu
Krishnanu
Shilanam Bhaktiruttama
Shilanam
Shilanam Bhaktir
Bhaktiruttama
Uttamam
Sarvapadhi Vinirmuktam
Sarvopadi
Sarvopadi
Vinirmuktam
Vinirmuktam
Tatparatvena Nirmalam
Tatparatvena
Tatparatmena
Nirmalam
Nirmalam
Rishikena Rishikesha
Rishikena
Rishikena
Rishikesha
Rishikesha
Sevanam Bhaktiruchyate
Sevanam Bhaktir
Sevanam
Uchyate
Bhaktir Uchyate
Atah Shri Krishna Namadi
Atah Shri Krishna
Atah Shri
Namadi
Krishna
Na Bhaved
Namadi
Grahyamindriyai
Na Bhaveda Grahyam Indriye
Sevonmukhe hi Jivhado
Sevonmukhe
Sevonmukhe
Jivado
Jivado
Swayameva Spuratyadaha
Swayam Eva
Swayameva
Suratya Adaha
Suratya
Anasaktasya Vishayan
Anasaktasya Vishayan
Anasaktasya Vishayan
Yatharham Upayunjataha
Yatharham
Yatharham
Upayunjataha
Upayunjataha
Nirbandhaha Krishna Sambandhe
Nirbandhaha Krishna
Nirbandhaha
Sambandhe
Sambandhe
Yuktam Vairagyamujyate.
Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate.
Vairagyam Uchyate.
All right, great. So now we will move to the topic for today, which is yeah, right here. So we covered till last week, we covered the two very famous verses. Just a quick recap. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttama, where we discussed the characteristics, or this is the definition of uttama bhakti, topmost bhakti. And we discussed three characteristics: anya abhilashita shunyam, jnana karmadi anavritam, not covered by jnana and karma, anukulyena krishnanu shilanam, so serving Krishna in a favorable way. And then we covered this verse: Sarvapadhi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktiruchyate. And this verse talks about the same aspect of Uttam Bhakti, but from Narad Pancharatra. And then we showed a mapping of all the
समय नहीं निर्धारित आएंगे.
we showed a mapping of all the aspects of these two verses. And then there was the topic of this very famous verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which also shows Uttam Bhakti. So there is Pramana, proof from Srimad Bhagavatam about the topmost bhakti, that what to speak of Anya Abhilashita Shunyam, the devotees don't even have a desire for liberation or any of the 5 kinds of mukti, salokya, sarishti, samipya, sarupya, and sayujya, if it does not include seva of Bhagavan, vina mat sevanam. So for the devotees, seva of Bhagavan in a favorable way, that is anukulyena Krishna anushilanam. So that is the topmost characteristic. The remaining 2 are secondary, which is anyabhilashita shunyam and jnana karmadi anavritam. So this is what we discussed last time. Now, if you remember in verse number 10, what is the meaning of definition was discussed, and something that states the characteristics or lakshana is the definition of something. So now Srila Rupa Goswami will go into details of 6 characteristics of bhakti. Now, these are not the attributes of bhakti, but this is what bhakti gives. When one does bhakti, one gets these 6 items, but one does not do bhakti for any of these 6 items. These are the byproducts of bhakti. These are not the primary motivation of bhakti. Primary motivation of Krishna Bhakti for a devotee is Krishna Nushilanam, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. That is the only motive of a shuddha bhakta, pure devotee, is to serve the Lord favorably, do service of Bhagavan continuously without break. So that is Krishna Anushilanam. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. But now we will go into 6 characteristics of what else bhakti provides. Okay, so this is another very famous verse, or very, very important verse. Potentially you may want to memorize it. It's not a requirement for the test, but I highly recommend that you memorize it. So I recommend that we sing this verse as we are, in this class. So some of you, whoever desires, may unmute and repeat. Ready? Okay. Kleśaghnī subhada moksa.
kleśaghnī
Klesaghni
subhada
moksha.
Laghuta krita sudurlabha.
laghuta
Laghuta
sudurlabha
sudurlabha.
Sandrananda visesatma.
sandrananda
Sandrananda visesatma.
Sri Krsnakarsini sa.
Sri Krsnakarsini sa.
Okay, thank you. So you can mute again. And now we will discuss the 6 characteristics, which I have in the, at least the IAST or the Unicode version at the bottom. I have colored it in 6 different colors. So here are the 6 characteristics. First, kleśaghnī. I will go into detail of all these. Second is subhada, moksha laghuta krita, sudurlabha, sandrananda visesatma, and Sri Krsnakarsini. These are the 6 characteristics of bhakti. Let us see what each of these mean. So kleśaghnī. Kleśaghnī. So everybody understands what is klesha. Klesh means suffering. And ghni or ghna means one who destroys. Okay, so that is the meaning of ghna. So like we have Shatrughna, the brother of Lord Ram. So the meaning of Shatrughna means the destroyer of the enemy. Shatrughna. So here it is kleśaghna or kleśaghnī, one who destroys klesha or material suffering. So again, as we are going through, pay attention. This is not the motivation for a bhakta to do bhakti, that, oh, my material suffering will be destroyed, so let me do bhakti. It's like a cheap cure, Why should I pay the doctor thousands of dollars for curing my disease? I should do just bhakti, my suffering will go away. That is not the reason for doing bhakti, but that is anyway, like it or not, that is what a devotee gets. So it is a byproduct of bhakti. Destroys material suffering. Second, subhada. It brings auspiciousness, shubha. So it bestows auspiciousness in the life of a devotee. Now comes, you will see, I will show it in the next slide, how it kind of is little bit the ante is increasing. Moksha laghuta krita. Same thing like we discussed in that Srimad Bhagavatam verse. It disregards liberation. Moksha laghuta krit. Laghuta krit means it makes it small. Laghu krit. So we can say that it disregards moksha, or it towers over moksha. That for a devotee, bhakti is way above, and moksha laghuta krit. Moksha becomes very small for a devotee. Moksha laghuta krit. Then it is sudurlabha. Sudurlabha means it is very durlabh, and su means it's an emphasis on the word durlabha, which means it's very rarely or very difficult to obtain, which means it's not difficult to do bhakti, to start bhakti, but to attain the result of bhakti is very difficult. And the point here is that a devotee is not deterred by it. So what? Let it be difficult. I am not doing it because I want an easy path. Devotee thinks like that. A bhakta thinks, so what? I am not doing it for some end goal or somewhere to get and find the shortcut, or what is known in corporate language, we call it path of least resistance. So a Shuddha Bhakta is not looking for the path of least resistance. He is looking the path of bhakti. So sudurlabha, but it is very, very hard to attain the end result. And then again, now the ante goes up again. It gives sandrananda visesatma. We'll go into detail of this later. It gives unparalleled bliss. The bliss, no bliss of this material world, let alone this little earth. One may think there is bliss if I am the king of a country, or I'm whatever, born in a silver spoon. The bliss of Svargaloka is a million times higher than this. And the bliss that is obtained by a devotee is a million or zillion times higher than that. So that is Sandrananda Visheshatma. And finally, Sri Krsnakarsini. It attracts Krishna. Krishna looks, who is this person who is in so much love with me? Now again, the bhakta is not doing it for bliss. Bhakta is not doing a bhakti to attract Krishna either. Whether Krishna is looking on the bhakta or not doesn't matter. It's unconditional love. There is no waiting, when will he look at me? When will he look at me? There is no desire for any result. So, but that level of bhakti attracts Sri Krishna. Okay. So these are the 6 characteristics of Shuddha Bhakti. And the rest of the first wave, remember how Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu is organized? The whole ocean is divided into 4 divisions. We are going to study Eastern Division. Within Eastern Division, there are 4 waves. And the first wave is called Samanya Bhakti, or the principles of generic Bhakti, or general principles of Bhakti. The rest of the chapter describes in detail these 6 characteristics. Okay? So that is how the chapter is structured. So today we will go into kleśaghnī. My goal is to complete kleśaghnī today, and the Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu spends a lot of verses. Srila Rupa Goswami has spent most number of verses on kleśaghnī. So we will cover that today. Okay, so now let us see this verse again. There are 6. So before we go into kleśaghnī, let us go over some more details of all the 6. So once again, kleśaghnī subhada moksa laghuta krit sudurlabha sandrananda visesatma and Sri Krsnakarsini. So these are the 6 characteristics of bhakti, and they appear in stages. So Sri Vishvanatha Chakravarthy Thakura has described this in his commentary, that now if you remember the eastern division, the ocean is divided into 4 divisions, and we will be covering the eastern division. Eastern division has 4 waves. First one is Samanya Bhakti, or the general principles of bhakti. Then the next entire section is called Sadhana Bhakti. Sadhana Bhakti means the process of performing bhakti, the means of performing Krishna Bhakti. So when one starts, so that starts with Vaidhi Bhakti and then Raga Bhakti. So we will go into that later. But when one starts the process of bhakti and makes some reasonable advancement, but one has not reached the next wave. After Sadhana Bhakti is Bhava Bhakti, and then finally Prema Bhakti. So when one has started his bhakti and is still in the Sadhana Bhakti stage, the first 2 begin to emerge, the first 2 results, which is kleśaghnī and subhada. Then when one continues to perform Sadhana Bhakti, it leads to Bhava Bhakti. And when Bhava Bhakti stage appears in the devotee's life, then the next 2 also, in addition to the first 2, the next 2 emerge, which is moksha laghuta krit. So before that, one may still be attached to moksha. One may think in the sense that, okay, even if I cannot get to the stage of prema bhakti, just because I have performed very serious sadhana bhakti, I will get moksha. And that may be true. That could very well be true. And one may think, I will settle for that. But when one continues to perform sadhana bhakti, very quickly he realizes, wait a minute, this moksha is not very attractive. It is not something I was really doing bhakti for. So it becomes like a smaller goal for a devotee. That is the stage of Bhava Bhakti. And one realizes that he has spent so much time in performing bhakti, but still there is the yearning that I am not there yet. It seems like a elusive goal, always never attained. That is the sudurlabha stage. Or the sudurlabha, the characteristic of sudurlabha emerges, but that does not deter the devotee at all. He thinks that, oh, I have a long way to go, but so what? I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying the journey. And finally, sandrananda visesatma, one gets the stage of pure bliss at the stage of prema bhakti, and Krishna is attracted by it. The attention of Krishna falls on this person. Now, of course, it doesn't mean that Krishna was not paying attention all throughout, and only in the last stage, Krishna begins to realize, wait a minute, something is going on. Krishna is with us all throughout the process. He is the Paramatma in the heart, and he is continuously aware. He is fully aware of our process. Okay, so these stages emerge, or these 6 characteristics emerge in stages. So now let us go into the first one, which is kleśaghnī. So ghna means, like I said, destroyer or killer. And like, for example, Shatrughna. So why don't we name it as klesaghna? Anybody? Why kleśaghnī?
Female gender.
Female.
Female.
What is female?
The material energy is female.
What is female?
Material energy.
Material energy.
Bhakti. Bhakti, Prabhuji.
Yes, bhakti is female. See, here, like kleśaghnī. So, bhakti is kleśaghnī. So, we say in Hindi, वो लड़की जाती है और वो लड़का जाता है. So, the word jati and jata applies to the subject on which it is that action is being used for. लड़का जाता है और लड़की जाती है. So kleśaghnī is applying to bhakti, and bhakti is feminine gender. We say bhakti devi ki jai. So we don't say bhakti prabhu, we say bhakti devi.
But I'm a bit confused, Prabhuji, because you said Kalesh is killer of material desires. I mean, that's what my understanding was.
Yes, klesha is material suffering, but bhakti is kleśaghnī. Bhakti is the destroyer of klesha. So bhakti is kleśaghnī. I mean, it's just simple Hindi grammar I'm applying. I'm no Sanskrit scholar.
No, I got
Same rules apply.
Yeah.
You can say, if you say लड़की लड़के के साथ जाती है, तो जाति will still apply to लड़की ना, वो लड़के के साथ जा रही है, but जाती है. So भक्ति क्लेश का नाश करती है. क्लेश में भी मेल जेंडर, बट ऐसे थोड़ी बोलेंगे कि भक्ति क्लेश का नाश करता है. समझ में आ रहा है?
Understood, Prabhuji. I was just focusing on this word, kleśaghnī.
Yeah. So kleśaghnī is the destroyer of klesha. Anyway, so now we will go into, so we can see here that 9 verses 18 to 26 are dedicated to kleśaghnī by Srila Rupa Goswami. So we will see in detail what these verses contain. So in the 18th verse, so we will start with 18th verse. There are 3 types of klesha. So we can see the beauty of how Sri Rupa Goswami has done such a nice analysis of klesha and given so much details about how bhakti is kleśaghnī. So there are 3 types of klesha. They are called pāpa, bija, and avidya. Pāp means sinful reactions. So we can say pāp can also be sinful action, but in this context, it is sinful reaction. So the sinful reactions that we carry, we say like pāp mat karo. Those are the sinful actions, but we also say, अरे तुम्हारे सिर पे बहुत पाप हैं. तो पाप हैं मतलब those are the sinful reactions. Sorry, I'm including a little bit of Hindi, but don't worry, I'm translating everything into English as well. So these are the sinful reactions that one carries. Now, it doesn't need to be sinful. It can be sinful or pious. I could have said material reactions that one is carrying on the head. Then there is bijam, or the seed of sinful desires. So this is what causes us to do sinful action. So there is a seed, a bija of desire to do sinful actions and to attain results of our attachments. Whatever attachments we have, we want to attain those via shortcuts. And shortcuts, most of them are sinful. You want to get good marks in an exam. You don't want to work hard. What's the shortcut? You cheat. And when you cheat, you pay for use. If you get caught, you pay the cost. So that is the sinful reaction. So the desire is to get good marks without doing hard work. And so many other things, to get more money without working hard. So you steal, and so many things. And the root cause is ignorance, avidya. Avidya, we will unpack it a little later in the class, but the root avidya is attachment to matter. Attachment to the fact that if I get this thing, I will be happy. If I get that thing, I will be happy. If I get that thing, I will be happy. So that is avidya, ignorance, that ultimately whatever you are desiring for will not make you happy. That would be knowledge. But avidya is the illusion that if I have this, if I have that, if I have that, I will be happy. That is the root avidya. that gives rise to seed for sinful desires. Oh, how to make myself happy now? By getting that, trying to come up with shortcuts, trying to do sinful activities, whatever it may be. For some people, it may be pious activities. Some may think, oh, I must help my neighbor, I must help my country, then I will be happy. So they do pious activities. Same thing. It's just the negative of the other. And one gets pious reactions or sinful reactions. So these are the three kinds of klesha that are described. All right. And then Sri Rupa Goswami will describe how bhakti is the killer or the destroyer of klesha. Now, further in the 19th verse, so among all these, papa is most obvious because the sinful reactions when one gets, that is what one is troubled by the most. And nobody wants sinful reactions. So papa is further divided into two types. Prarabdha papa and aprarabdha papa. Prarabdha papa is the reaction that you are facing right now. It has begun to manifest, or it is right in the middle or somewhere, wherever you are suffering right now. You are feeling the pinch, as they say. You are feeling the heat right now. That is prarabdha papa. And then there is aprarabdha, which is not yet manifested. So that is getting accumulated for later. You have to repay. So in Krishna's arrangement, you cannot escape. Like a thief may be stealing. One fine day when he steals in one house, he may get caught. But the record will be there that, hey, all these other stealings happened. We had your fingerprints and everything. We were trying to catch you, but we know that it's not just this theft where you have been caught red-handed. You will not be punished just for that. Because your fingerprints or whatever evidence was there in the books of the police, they will punish you for all of those. So technically speaking, it was getting accumulated in this example. They were accumulating it. They were just not able to catch the person. Of course, Krishna knows. So there is a difference between this analogy or example and Krishna's arrangement. The reaction begins to build up, but it is aprarabdha. It's not yet manifested, and later it will manifest. Another example, not of a sinful activity, but of something harmful, is smoking. When you first start smoking, there's no problem. You enjoy it actually. And some people, like Winston Churchill, maybe he smoked all his life and didn't die of lung cancer. So we don't know. Again, the analogy is just to illustrate. Lung cancer appears 20 years later, but it didn't appear because of the cigarette that you smoked on the 20th year. The first cigarette that you started smoking, and all throughout it was building up. Finally, you get a diagnosis. You get some pain in the lungs and you are diagnosed with cancer. But it was building up all along. Okay, so that is like originally or initially it starts with. So that's why the arrow.
Is it equivalent to karma? The prarabdha and the aprarabdha.
Yeah. Karma is the reaction that we are accumulating. We call it either papa or punya. We say papa karma, punya karma. So yes, I mean, you have gone through the Bhagavad Gita series, so you know that. So yes, those are synonymous terms in this context. Papa or karma, they are highly contextual. So in this context, they are the same. So aprarabdha papa or aprarabdha karma leads later on to prarabdha karma when it becomes manifest. Sometimes it manifests quickly. So the time duration between aprarabdha to prarabdha may be small or large, whatever, and it can span across lifetimes. And we will discuss that very clearly. Rupa Goswami will discuss that. So it does not all have to be in this life. It can accumulate over lifetimes, and the results can manifest in the next life as well.
Sure.
Yeah. And the point of this whole discussion is, now we have discussed 4 things. Papa, which is divided into 2, aprarabdha and prarabdha. Those are 2 things. The source of that is the desire, which is the bija, and the source of that is avidya. So we discussed 4 things here. Krishna Bhakti destroys everything mentioned on this slide. All these 4 things are destroyed by Krishna Bhakti. That is kleśaghnī. It destroys the entire sequence, starting from the root cause, which is ignorance, to your current suffering, which is prarabdha, papa, or your prarabdha reactions that you are suffering. So how is this chapter organized, or this section organized? So I like to kind of have a map in my mind. That's how my brain thinks. So this we see here is 18 to 26. We discussed 18 and 19, where the division or the breakdown of papa or klesha is given, and within that the breakdown of papa is given into 2. Okay, so that's 2 verses. Now we will see which verses deal with which aspect. So aprarabdha pap or aprarabdha karma, it is destroyed by bhakti, is given in the 20th verse, which is the same as pramana from Srimad Bhagavatam. So basically the rest of this section, all the way up to 20 to 26, is pramana. So that's why I have put this in the red color. So now Sri Rupa Goswami, the point he's making is that Krishna Bhakti destroys klesha. Therefore, it is kleśaghnī. And these 7 verses, he is just filling it with proof. Proof from 2 main sources, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Bhagavad Puran, and Padma Puran. From these 2 sources, he is completely showing that Krishna Bhakti or Vishnu Bhakti destroys klesha, or which comprises of papa, bija, and avidya. So in the 20th verse, he is showing that aprarabdha papa is destroyed by bhakti. In 21 and 22, he is showing that prarabdha pap, what you are suffering right now, is being can be or is destroyed by bhakti. Once these 2 are destroyed, then obviously the pap category is destroyed. But he is showing one more verse from Padma Purana, which is the 23rd verse. So you can see the sequence here, 20, 21, 22, 23, that all categories of papa are destroyed. Then from Srimad Bhagavatam, he is showing that even the bija, or the desire for committing sin, or even the root seed before even it fructifies into actually carrying out the sinful activity, even that desire for sinful activity is destroyed by bhakti. And finally, he shows in 25 and 26 through Srimad Bhagavatam and Padma Puran that avidya is also destroyed by Krishna Bhakti. So these 7 verses are the pramana for kleśaghnī. But very interesting discussion is there in these verses. So Krishna Bhakti destroys everything that is mentioned on this slide, and you've seen how each topic, which verse deals with the various topics. All right. So the first topic, so going back here, you see the first topic is aprarabdha papa. Proof that how, or the fact that is destroyed through bhakti, is mentioned in 11th canto, 14th chapter, 19th verse. So Sri Rupa Goswami called this Prarabhdha Haratvam. Hara means what? To remove. We say, hara. We say apaharana means kidnap. Basically to carry away, to take away. So the root word hara means to remove or destroy. So here Sri Rupa Goswami refers to this verse, 11, 14, 19. And this verse goes like this. So, okay, we'll just read the translation. my dear Uddhav. So this is from Uddhav Gita, which is within Srimad Bhagavatam, where Lord Krishna is giving his instructions to his friend Shri Uddhav ji. So he says that, my dear Uddhav, just as a blazing fire turns firewood into ashes, and here by firewood, it is, the Sanskrit is edhamsi, bhasmasat. So edhamsi is a huge mountain of firewood. Just as a blazing fire turns firewood into ashes, similarly, devotion unto me completely burns to ashes sins committed by my devotees. So one who is a devotee right now, in the past, he may not have been a devotee. Even then, whatever he has accumulated, the mountain of aprarabdha papa, it's all destroyed by becoming a devotee. And when one begins to perform sadhana bhakti, then that entire mountain is destroyed, is what is being said. So bhasmat, edhamsi, bhasmasat, it becomes bhasma, it turns to ashes. Mad vishaya bhaktir. So my bhakti, or by taking up topics or the sections of my bhakti. So Sri Jiva Gosvami, Mad Vishaya Bhakti, he says these are the various Shravana Adi, the various processes of bhakti, that is Navadha Bhakti or Nava Vidha Bhakti. So I'm not going to go into the details of that, obviously, but the 9 processes of bhakti, starting with Shravanam and Kirtanam. Shravana and Kirtanam. So when one starts the process of bhakti, then it destroys that entire mountain of firewood. So that is the verse. Hopefully you get a reasonable idea of what the verse is. Now I have a question. 2 questions. Okay. How does this verse imply that it is talking about aprarabdha karma or aprarabdha pap? It is just talking about a, mountain of firewood. So, and whether all of it is burnt or some of it is burnt. So how do we know that? I'm asking you all. Any thoughts?
Some of it is burnt.
So
Okay.
those which are already manifested have already manifested. So whatever is remaining, that will be burnt.
Okay. So whatever is remaining will be burnt means all of it will be burnt.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Made
Yes.
nice drawing
Okay.
or nice scribbling.
And why is it accumulated over a long period of time? How can you say that? Maybe it's all accumulated in this life only.
Because every reaction is having seed. Every seed is at a proper time. That will come as your now that will be your prarabdha. Till it is seed, it is a prarabdha. So it's accumulation of so many reactions in the past janmantar. We are having so many past times, and we have created those reactions. That is there, for which we will have to face the consequences. But it is still a prarabdha, but it is in the beach form, seed form.
Okay.
I
Next
think that
question.
is.
Next question is also that how do we know that bhakti can destroy all of it? It says there yatha mad vishaya bhaktir. But how do we know that bhakti can destroy all of it?
Prabhu, can I say something?
Yeah.
Yes, somebody else. Go ahead.
शास्त्र प्रमाणित तो that is शब्द प्रमाण
Very nice. Shabda Praman. Okay, I think you were trying to say something.
I was answering the previous question when you said that how do we know all of it is destroyed, because from firewood you got bhasma. So from that I thought that
Okay.
from that analogy.
All right. So our acharyas give a very nice understanding of this. I just wanted to stimulate this thought process in your mind, and let us walk through the understanding that we get from our acharyas. So we see here, this is a mountain of firewood, right? Which has accumulated over lifetimes. And the question is, what is the beauty of bhakti in this process? How does bhakti help, or just to understand the beauty or the power of bhakti, that it can destroy this whole thing? So let us try to see, if we were to burn it like firewood, let's say that that is firewood. How much firewood is needed for burning one fire? Very little, isn't it?
Matches ki tili.
So our past reactions are like a mountain of firewood accumulated over lifetimes. That is how much baggage, we don't know that, but we are carrying on our head. Okay. And if we burn it, what is this firewood meant for? For burning. So those reactions we have to suffer or enjoy, whatever may be the case, in our various bodies, life after life after life, just like small bonfires. If we keep going in this way, how long would it take to burn the entire mountain?
It can never be burned because we keep
Infinite.
Okay, assuming that you don't accumulate more, still it will take many, many, many lifetimes, isn't it? It will take many lifetimes. Do you agree? It is not possible. It is simply not possible to burn that whole thing in one lifetime. That is like saying that, let us say you have to get some disease as a suffering. Have you heard anyone who has got all possible diseases in the medical book? Whatever, let us say there is a book of medicine or diseases. Every single disease, has it ever happened to one person? No, it is not possible. In one body, we cannot suffer all the reactions. If we keep trying to burn it up by simply the process of suffering, it will take many, 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 many lifetimes. Okay? So that tells us that there is so much wood, and therefore these actions that we have done, and you cannot even do so many sinful reactions in one lifetime either to accumulate such a big pile of wood. So this verse definitely refers to a prarabdha papa, which means everything that has accumulated over many, many, many lifetimes. And these are the reactions that are waiting to manifest. The wood that is in the normal course of events would take a very long time to burn. But the question is, there is another reference in the verse about a huge fire. Can a forest fire burn the entire mountain of firewood within your lifetime? If there were to be a forest fire and all that wood were to be in the way of the fire, would it all get burnt?
Yes.
Yes.
That is possible. And that forest fire is Krishna Bhakti. So all you have to do is to invite the forest fire. When you invite the forest fire in your life, then that entire mountain, which would have taken many, many lifetimes, as we just went through the discussion, to burn in the normal course of events, can all be burnt within one lifetime. And that is the power of Krishna Bhakti. Now, again, the way I'm saying it, probably I'm putting it like a motivation, or I'm presenting it like a carrot that, oh, you have such a big mountain on your head, do Krishna Bhakti and you will get rid of the mountain. So that's where probably, I'm not presenting it in the best possible way. Bhakti should not be done for this motivation, but that is simply the byproduct of Krishna Bhakti. That is the point being conveyed. Okay. So that is the proof in the Srimad Bhagavatam about a Prarabdha Papa. That this entire, it mentioned a huge blazing fire, burning a huge mountain of firewood, and that mountain of firewood cannot be accumulated over a lifetime. It belongs to previous lifetimes, and it is waiting to be manifested. That is the summary. All right. So this verse talked about a Prarabdha Haratvam. Next two verses, these are also very important, and more important, a Prarabdha, okay, fine. One can think, I may have done something in the past, I don't know, and it is not yet manifested, so it's good. Neither I remember the cause, and the effect is not manifesting. Fine. Both are not there. Nothing is troubling me right now. Prarabdha is the most important or the most troublesome in this whole discussion because it is affecting us right now. It is manifesting. So these two verses are telling us Prarabdha Haratvam, that it destroys currently manifesting suffering. Bhakti destroys that. So in this translation, I would request one of you to read the translation. Somebody, whoever has camera on, I will say, I don't know, Shri Murari Prabhu, would you read the translation, please?
Sure, Prabhu. To say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face, even a person born in a family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. If he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him.
Very nice. Thank you. So what this is saying is that even a person born in a family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if what he does, so from a very sort of a, abominable situation, he goes to a very high situation. If he simply utters the name of the Supreme Lord even once, chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. So this is the power of bhakti. Now, the question is, where is it implying prarabdha karma or prarabdha pa? That is the question. How do we prove or how do we understand that this verse is talking about existing suffering? Where is suffering in this? He is born in a family of dog eaters. Okay. But how is there suffering in this verse? Any thoughts?
The birth itself in the human life.
Birth itself in the human life. Okay, so how is it? Okay, something more. You're on the right track.
So being part of the, cycle of birth and death.
Okay. Anyone else wants to say something?
Not in a good family.
Not in a good family. So are we kind of implying caste system here?
No.
This family is higher, that family is lower.
Dog eaters.
So family of dog eaters, it is being said.
That itself is a sinful thing, and it takes that person to even more lower situation.
Okay.
Because if you've done bhakti in the past, so Gita says that he would have taken birth in a rich or the good family. So
yes,
its indication, if he is in the family of dog eaters, it means that he has not done bhakti in the past.
Brahmana Gavihastini.
Okay, so let us walk through some discussion here. So the way to understand is it's a very, you will see the sort of the logic of this comes out very nicely when we read the commentaries of acharyas and various devotees. So let us understand this a little bit. Let me ask you this question again, just walking you through the thought process. What is the most frustrating or debilitating form of human suffering?
Death.
Death. I was hoping somebody would say that.
Prabhuji,
Anybody else?
yeah, it is lacking of understanding of persons or minds thinking.
Okay.
Those people also God's given persons, and they are brothers and sisters like that. We have to think. What is there, we have to accept. That is the understanding.
Okay.
Thank
The question is, what is the most frustrating form of human suffering? Someone else?
Being in ignorance.
More practical. I want little more practical answers. This is a
If
little
you
bit
are
theoretical.
if you are being barred by any action, I think that is the main cause, because I want it, but I am not supposed to work. I'm being debarred from it. Say I'm going to a college, and the instructor or the teacher debars me because I have done some mistake, so I will be debarred from the class.
Okay.
That is the.
Okay.
I think so.
I will say something. Hold on.
When
Go. Okay. Mansi Ganga Mataji just raise your hands instead of just starting to, since we have more devotees. Mansi Ganga Mataji, you want to say something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. I think, just it's related to the Prabhuji he was pointing. So mostly, what I'm thinking is, Prabhuji, when we have a desires and which is not getting fulfilled, that is when the frustration it's starting, and then it leads to all the due to the attachment or lust, whatever, and that is where the that makes oneself is more disinterested in everything. And
Okay. Ram Challab, thank you, Mataji. Ram Prabhu, did you raise your hand? Or
yes, Prabhuji, I want to add when a person realizes
just be brief,
that
everyone.
Yes. So when they realize they are the soul, but they're trapped in this body.
Okay. I would say that is very high level, or my question is purely at a very materialistic, how a normal person out there in the world would think. Anyway, Anjana Mataji.
Prabhuji, I was thinking more on the lines of Bhagavad Gita, that 4 forms of sufferings, which is birth, death, old age, and diseases.
Okay. Damodarila?
I was thinking something which is common to all humans is the birth, where they are considered as
that we don't realize. How many of you remember suffering when you were in the womb? I don't remember anything about being in the womb. Okay, I'm talking about practical. Jayanita Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I think it is the birth itself, but the type of body we get and the family we are born, because we cannot do anything about it. That's not in our choice at all.
Now you're scratching the surface. Very nice. Medha Mataji?
Unfulfilled desires, Prabhuji.
Orange color van.
When we know when we are going.
Madhav Gauranga Prabhu?
Car, orange color car.
You work really hard to achieve some goal,
Kindly,
and then you are not able to fulfill that goal. Then you get frustrated.
Sorry, please repeat.
So you have a desire to achieve some goal, and when you don't, reach that goal, then you get frustrated because you work so hard to achieve that goal.
There is a sentence that, what you are kind of saying, because you worked so hard. Okay, good. Neelam Mataji, and then we'll move ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, is it like the biggest sufferings, whether one is a devotee or not? Is it like the health, like the diseases?
Also in the same category. Okay, very nice. We'll move on. Okay. So somebody said death. I just want to point out one thing. Even a criminal who has been given capital punishment, all right, if he acknowledges his, if it's somewhere where he has confessed his crime, there is some sort of, usually, or not usually, but in some cases, there is an acceptance that I took a life or I took multiple lives and I must pay back. There is some sort of acceptance that, so even in the case of death, the point I'm trying to make, that is not suffering for that kind of person who accepts it as a reaction to his own actions. So the claim is that the suffering, and like, I think I forget who brought it up. I think Jayanitai Prabhu and some other devotees, Madhav Gauranga Prabhu said, even though I worked hard, suffering that seems to be completely unjust. And within that, the highest or whatever kind of suffering, death or whatever may be the situation, is the sort of most frustrating. I hope you will agree to this, where you did not, you don't know why you are suffering, or you see absolutely no reason for you to suffer. There is no closure. There is no understanding. Why me? Why am I suffering? What did I do to deserve this kind of suffering? That is the most frustrating or debilitating. Now, within that, what kind of suffering seems the most unjust? Which is, there are many categories, like you work hard, you didn't get something. Disease also, you're leading a healthy life. Maybe, if you're smoking for 20 years and then you get cancer, maybe that person will not suffer so much internally. Pain may be there, but he will realize, on the every cigarette packet I smoked, it was written, cigarette smoking is injurious to health, but I smoked, fine, I got cancer. So there may be some sort of acceptance, but when one is leading a completely healthy life and then he gets, something like that, then he feels very, so within all those kind of unjust sufferings, which one is the sort of the most unjust? Yes, Sai Prabhu? Oh, you probably put it in the chat. We don't have control over most anything. Well, okay, I would say, you have control over what you eat, the kind of things you eat, so you may maintain a healthy lifestyle. And in general, those who maintain healthy lifestyles don't get diseases. There is a high correlation. There are exceptions where very healthy lifestyle people also get diseases, but there is a high level of correlation. I'm not a statistician or a doctor. Let's assume that there is a high level of correlation. So you can do something about your suffering, like you don't steal. So have you ever gone to jail? I don't think so. None of has everybody here is this. Nobody is a past criminal. So you can definitely avoid jail by not doing bad things. So that is also in your control. So it's not true that there is nothing in my control. All right. So there are a lot of things in our control. Just look at yourself. Why you haven't gone to jail yet? It's within your control to not go to jail. More or less, 99.99%. All right. So let's move forward in interest of time. Anybody else here want? I think all previously raised hands. Anybody? Okay. All I think are previously raised hands. Ananya Mataji, you wanted to say something? Or Makrant Prabhu, your hand has been raised. I don't know for...
No, sir. I don't want to say anything.
Okay, then I'll lower your hand. Okay. So what kind of suffering seems most unjust? The one that begins at birth, which means that you cannot attribute any possible cause. The person was just born. How can there be any cause? After you have lived your life somewhat, then you get some suffering. You may think, okay, maybe I have done something in this life. And then the sort of the perspective could change. But when there is suffering that begins right at birth, that seems the most unjust. So somebody may be born blind, somebody may be, having some diseases right from the beginning, or whatever the reason, somebody may, die right after birth, or somebody may be born in a family of a dog eater. So what I am saying, that is an unfortunate birth. And a person born in the family of dog eaters is considered the most unfortunate birth according to the Shastra. A very, very low birth in a low class family. Now, it's not about what you eat. It could be a low class family where there are no restrictions, there are no moral values provided to you. In modern times, we can call it a broken family, where there is nobody to guide you. You do whatever you want to do. There is no guidance, there is no proper upbringing. And that is what is a sort of a modern definition of a dog eater's family. So a person born in such a family is what is being considered one of the most unfortunate kind of birth. And what is the cause of that unfortunate birth? The cause that is being shown here, or that is being referenced here, is our past sinful reactions that are being manifested now. How are they being manifested right now? By the very fact that you are born in such a family where you cannot make spiritual progress. So many people say, oh, there is caste system and all those things, and it doesn't matter which family you are born in and all that. There is truth to the fact that yes, if you are born in a good family, you will get good values, good upbringing, and that is considered a good birth. And you could be born in a broken family where you won't get any values, you won't get any guidance, you won't get any proper upbringing, and you will just go further down in your life. So Krishna Bhakti turns such a birth, what was mentioned in the verse, that a person who was born in a family of dog eaters could become a person who can perform Vedic sacrifices like a Brahmana family. So the point being made here, two things. One thing is that when we say that, yes, it's an unfortunate birth in a low-class family, the reason is past actions which are manifesting now, past sinful actions, the result of which is manifesting now. So one, there is some truth to the fact that, yes, there is a connectivity from the previous lives. And the second point being made is that Krishna Bhakti turns the fortune of such a person from being such a sort of a fallen person to the highest quality person. So we see what Srila Prabhupada did. All these hippies and everybody, he brought them out of that sort of mode and made them into devotees. And, they became very, very pure people, very, very saintly people. And today they are actually called saints. So many people are there like this. Look around, and some of them even visit us. We can, sit and 10 feet from them. So there are people like that who are living examples of this situation. Now, this is a very important point about birth, and therefore Sri Rupa Goswami goes into this discussion in the 22nd verse, the cause of low birth. We have discussed it already, so I'll quickly go over it. That the cause of a low birth or an unfortunate birth is previous Prarabdha Papa, which was not manifested then, but is manifesting now in this birth right from day one. From the very fact that the kind of family you are born in is the manifestation itself. So that is being clarified by Sri Rupa Goswami. So who is the cause? We cannot say nature is the cause or God is the cause. Why did he make me born in such a family? We cannot say that. The reason is our own sinful actions done in the previous lives. They just didn't manifest in that life. They are being manifested now. So in this life is Prarabdha Papa. Okay. So it is also a result of our own past actions. And sometimes our actions lead to sinful reactions in this life, but sometimes it carries on over next few lives. I gave the example of, this thief who is stealing for a long time. Finally, when he gets caught, he cannot say that I didn't do all those past thefts. The record is all there. So he won't be punished just for when he was caught red-handed. He will be punished for all the previous ones as well. Next, Sri Vishvanatha Chakravarthy Thakura in his commentary talks about why do sometimes devotees suffer. We see devotees suffering sometimes. Recently, there was a very, very, very advanced devotee who passed away. Sometimes, in the past few years, we see. Now, everybody has to leave their body. It's just a means of how they leave their body. Somebody could get cancer, somebody could pass away of COVID, and so many things. So sometimes we see devotees also, quote unquote, I will say, suffer in that sense because we don't want cancer. We don't want COVID. So we think that somebody else who got cancer or somebody else who got COVID, oh my God, very bad death. Very, very undesirable. Why did it happen? We ask this question. Why did it happen to them? They are devotees. And here we are reading that for devotees, all these things are taken away. So first point to note is devotees never suffer. Pure devotees, the highest level of devotees, they never, never suffer. And we need to keep in mind the difference between pain and suffering. Okay? This is very important difference. Just like an adult versus a small child. For an adult, if you touch a hot vessel, it may not pain. For example, the people who work in the kitchen, a chef or whatever, certain level of heat, they'd rather just lift it, the vessel with their hand and put it aside instead of walking 5 steps and picking up some, gloves or whatever. They find it easier to just lift it and put it. Whereas if you tell a small child to do that, he will have immense amount of suffering. The pain, the heat is the same. The skin, the body is the same, but the suffering is different. So in the same way, for a devotee, the level of tolerance and the focus on the primary objective, which is Krishna Bhakti, is far higher. So one has to understand the difference between pain and suffering. We may think, oh my God, cancer is like, why did he get cancer? Why not something else? Or whatever may be the question. It is because we don't want that. We are overlaying our level of suffering onto somebody else. We are overlaying our level of tolerance on somebody else and claiming from that bhakti doesn't work. Or in Bhagavatam, it says this, but see what is happening here. So it is all wrong. We fail to understand that they and all these devotees, there is the story of Sri Haridas Thakur. He was attempted to be beaten to death. But he was not even suffering. He was not feeling any pain. Any pain. Finally, the guards who were given the job of killing him by beating pleaded to him, please die. Otherwise, if we cannot put you to death, the king, who was a rascal, wanted to kill this devotee. He will kill us because we couldn't kill you. He said, okay, I will die. He, went into samadhi. The guards finally thought, good, he died. They threw him into the river. His body floated into the river for some time. Then he came back into his consciousness and he swam out and started living again. So a pure devotee never feels any suffering. So that is the first thing to understand. We should not overlay our understanding of what is suffering, what is pain onto a pure devotee. He is so much absorbed in thoughts of Krishna that all these things don't matter. Then, second point is that suffering experienced by a devotee is sometimes given by the Lord himself. It is not due to karma. So we can see that the devotee is quote unquote suffering, but the Lord is simply taking away his attachments. The Lord is helping him to reduce his attachments so that he can be more attached to Krishna, to enhance the devotee's attachment to the Lord. There is praman of this in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 88th chapter, 8th verse. Lord Krishna directly says that and again, Krishna only gives that much suffering which the devotee at their level can tolerate, not more. Because the purpose is to enhance the devotee's attachment to Krishna. So Krishna gives only that much suffering which will enhance his attachment. So sometimes there are so many stories where devotees, something gets taken away and the devotee thinks, okay, good. I was not able to let go of it on my own. I'm glad it got taken away. Now I can focus on, I was anyway thinking of giving it up. I was not able to. Very wonderful example of this is the story of Srila Prabhupada. He had a business which was thriving. He was a chemist and he had a pharmacy and all that. Finally, all of that sort of, went down on its own. And Srila Prabhupada says that, I was so happy that all of that went downhill, I could give it all up more easily. It's very hard to give up a thriving business. It's very easy to give up a bankrupt business. So he said, I was very easily able to give it up. And I went to Vrindavan and spent my full time in Vrindavan. So Lord gives suffering like that sometimes. Okay. And sometimes the suffering of a devotee is the result of an offense to other Vaishnavas. So for a devotee, the most important thing is to not offend for a devotee. Now, a devotee doesn't want any material attachments. That is the level we are talking about. Any material attachments, etc., is anyway not interested in. But sometimes he may knowingly or unknowingly offend another devotee. Because if he commits some sinful action by mistake, the Lord overlooks. He doesn't even care. Because the devotee very quickly comes back to the right path. Bhagavad Gita 9:30 and 9:31. Apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak. And the next verse, kshipram bhavati dharmatma. So one very quickly comes back to the stage of proper dharma of the devotee. But if the offense is to another Vaishnava, then he has to suffer some reaction, because he is also, the offended party is also a Vaishnava. Another final point to keep in mind, why do sometimes devotees suffer, is that when we say a devotee, he is in a body, right? He has a body. He is not already in Vaikuntha. So the devotee, as we say, in the material world. So the body is itself karmic. And if all the karma, prarabdha, aprarabdha, everything is destroyed, the body will immediately be destroyed. The body is present physically because there is karma left in his account. Please understand this. If all 100% of the karma is destroyed, the body will get destroyed, because body is made up of karma. So therefore, some minute amount of karma is left till the very end and is destroyed when the body is destroyed. Okay. So this is how we need to understand, because being in the body is itself suffering, because the body is karmic. So these are the points how we should understand why sometimes in various levels devotees suffer. Okay, then in the 23rd verse, so Sri Rupa Goswami is describing the entire process, the prarabdha and aprarabdha, both, they are destroyed by Krishna Bhakti. And he quotes this verse from Padma Purana, where he's saying, aprarabdha phalam papam kutam bijam phalonmukham kramena eva praliyeta Vishnu Bhakti ratatmanam. So here he is introducing 4 terms about papa. Papa is being broken down here into 4 stages. Aprarabdha phala. So, aprarabdha karma or aprarabdha pap, the phala of that is that it's getting accumulated. It's not written off. It has been registered under your name that you have committed this sinful action, and this sinful reaction is pending on your behalf. Then comes kuta or kutam, which is the next stage when it begins to manifest. It gets ready for manifestation. Bijam is the next stage of getting ready. Don't get hung up by these details. And finally, the stage is phalonmukham, phala unmukha, when the fruit begins to, the phala of that action begins to actually manifest. Unmukh means come out or become visible, which is the prarabdha stage, that it begins to manifest. Okay, then an important point that is being made here is Kramenaiva praliyeta Vishnu Bhakti Ratatmanam. One who is absorbed in Vishnu Bhakti Ratatmanam. Kramenaiva praliyeta. Sequentially or gradually it becomes destroyed. Praliyeta. So somebody could make this argument, not because of the existence of this verse, but people have made this argument. Oh, how is it possible that immediately all my prarabdha and aprarabdha is destroyed? No, it is not possible. It is gradual. It's gradual. Every time you take the name of Krishna, 10 karmas are destroyed. Then again you say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So here you have taken the name of Krishna and Ram 8 times. And if you say Hare as the energy of Krishna, you have taken the name of Krishna or his energy 16 times. So you say 160 karmas have been destroyed. Only 160. And you can do any kind of this, some math. Each name only destroys so much, not everything. Gradually it occurs. So you have to chant more and more. Yes, chanting more and more out of love is good. But on the other hand, it is said that even one name of Krishna can destroy all of the karma. So which one is true? Do you see the disparity here? The argument can be made. Is one enough, or is one only equal to 10? And it is gradually, very gradually, you are like, hiking on a hill. Every step you are gaining, 2 inches of elevation. Slowly and slowly and slowly. You are going up the hill, and you can see it's Mount Everest. You're nowhere close. Okay, so our acharyas give a very, very wonderful example. That the destruction of all papa is gradual, yet it is immediate. So it's not like Padma Purana is wrong. Kramena, it is gradual. Kramena means step by step. It is gradual, yet it is immediate. How do we understand that?
There's a time factor, bro.
Time factor, which means, okay, so every day if you do chanting, 10 will be destroyed. So in 10 days, 100 will be destroyed. Is that what you mean by time factor?
No, I think by immediate, it's like it gets into motion immediately. But as to by the time when all the papas are destroyed, it could take some time or some lives.
Okay, fine. So, okay. Something like today, if it's noted in your name, but the certificate or the reward will come later. It has been mailed to you. Now it is on its sweet journey back to you. The result. Don't know when it will come. You have placed the order and it has been shipped, but not yet received.
En route.
En route, huh? No, it is not like that.
Okay.
Prabhuji, I mean, when somebody is like with, taking God's name, like even once, but they have surrendered themselves 100%, in that case, yes, all your past karmas can be erased. So with what level and with what level of surrender you do, according to that, your karma will be erased.
Okay.
Prabhuji, like I'm having an example.
Brief answer, okay? Brief
Like
answer.
there are booster doses. So booster doses is needed in vaccination too. When even say during the birth, there are certain vaccinations are required, but booster doses is also required.
So each name you take is like a booster dose.
Booster dose.
Which means that the previous dose was not enough. You needed a booster. That's what it is meaning. Otherwise, you will, catch the disease.
Prabhuji, I think it is just like Ajamila calling one time Narayana. Immediately it helps him in a systematic way.
Okay. Okay, Sai Prabhu has raised the hand. I will read out his chat. It will be erased, but then because we are not purified, we start doing papa again and reactions come again. Yes, that is true. We are just talking about the past baggage here. If you keep doing, then it will again accumulate. That is true. I'm not reading the whole comment. But the question is only about the existing aprarabdha and prarabdha papa, not the future one. It's the discussion right now is only about aprarabdha and prarabdha. Future one, of course, yes. So, in the interest of time, let's move forward. There's a beautiful example that is given how to understand this statement of Padma Purana, Kramenaiva, and yet it is immediate. The answer is, so many of you make garlands here with a very sharp needle. How long or how much effort it takes to pierce one petal? Anybody who makes garlands here?
Small.
Minute.
Very minute. Kirtida Mataji, thank you. Very minute. Okay, now sometimes you take 100 petals together, correct? And how, with a very sharp needle, how much effort it takes to pierce 100 petals?
Takes more time than one petal.
Really?
In no time, it goes inside.
Yeah, in no time it goes inside. Very quickly it goes. So, Jiva Gosvami and Vishwanatha Chakravarthy Thakura, both who are our, Jiva Goswami is our backbone of our Siddhanta. He is explaining this example of piercing 100 petals, 100 soft petals with a sharp needle. It goes in with no effort at all. But if you think about it, the needle is first piercing the first petal, then the second petal, then the third petal, then the fourth petal. It is gradual. But the effort is not large or not big at all. It is as minute as piercing one petal. So the point is, the way to harmonize this statement from Padma Purana and the statement from Srimad Bhagavatam that all the sins are immediately evaporated is the question is how to harmonize these two. And our acharyas who give the authoritative statement of how to understand or how to harmonize these apparently contradictory verses in two very important scriptures is to understand that yes, it is gradual, but it is so quick and so effortless that if the needle is sharp enough, it will take no effort. It will take the same effort as if it had to pierce one petal. So our understanding that we need to take away is that it is immediate. Yes, there is gradualness, there is krama in it, but that entire process of gradual removal of the karma happens instantly from our standpoint. Okay, so it is, the bottom line is that simply by taking the name of the Lord once, all our karma, all our papa is instantly destroyed. Completely instantly. There should not be any doubt in this statement at all. Okay? Now, we'll take 10 more minutes and then we'll complete. What all we have covered in this slide? We covered aprarabdha papa, we covered prarabdha papa. Aprarabdha, remember that mountain of firewood. All of it is instantly destroyed with a forest fire of Krishna Bhakti. Then prarabdha papa. We talked about the most intense type of prarabdha papa, which starts right at birth in a very, very unfortunate situation. Whether it be a broken family that one is born in, or whether it be with some kind of debility or some kind of disease or whatever one may be born with. But with Krishna Bhakti, it gets transformed, the person gets transformed to the highest state. Then we talked about the papa, overall papa is instantly destroyed by Krishna Bhakti. Now, what is remaining is bija and avidya. So let's quickly cover these. There is one verse or 1 and 2 verses each. 1 verse for this one and 2 for the next one. So for bija, there is a praman in 6th canto, 2nd chapter. This is where Ajamil pastime is occurring. And here, the Vishnu Dutas are saying that although one may neutralize the reactions of sinful life, now there are other ways to neutralize the papa. Austerity, charity, dana, tapa, vrata, etc. All those are mentioned here. Dana, vrata, adibihi. Vows and other such methods, these pious activities can be used to eradicate the sinful reactions that are pending on us. But these pious activities cannot uproot the material desires in one's heart. So one may ask the question, okay, by doing some kind of these pious activities, one can eliminate or destroy the sinful reactions. That may be true. Yes, not that may be true, that is true. But what it does not eliminate is the material desires in one's heart. So bhakti not only removes the prarabdha and aprarabdha karma or prarabdha and aprarabdha pap, it also removes the desire for committing new papa. Okay. So it's like this situation of this elephant. You go and elephant goes and takes, a bath in the river. That is like doing some charitable activity and everything. Okay, your papa has been removed. Then he comes out and sprinkles himself with dust again. And then again he goes into the river and again comes out. This cycle keeps going. But with Krishna Bhakti, even that desire to commit future sinful activities goes away. So there is that pramana in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. If one serves the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, he is immediately freed from all such contaminations. This is talking about tad hridayam, na adharmajam tad hridayam. So adharmajam tad hridayam means that tendency to commit sinful activity within the heart is also destroyed by serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Apishangri sevaya, tad apishangri sevaya, by serving your lotus feet. Okay, so all the sinful propensities for committing future. So prarabdha and aprarabdha was all for the past, what has already been accumulated. This is talking about the future. The tendency to commit in the future is also destroyed. And finally, there are 2 verses that talk about Avidya Haratvam. That the root cause why even the desire comes up in the heart is also destroyed. We will not go through it for lack of time, but both verses are stating that by bhakti of Lord Vishnu or Krishna, it destroys the ignorance, the avidya in the heart. And what is that avidya? I had mentioned in the beginning of the class that root avidya is attachment to matter. The attachment to matter which says that if I get this, that is what will make me happy. If I get that other thing, that's what will make me happy. So that avidya, that knowledge, we don't know what will actually make us happy. We have forgotten that. Nobody is teaching us that. And our acharyas and all, and that is the nature of Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, the amount of acharyas, the amount of saintly people who will come and tell us this is very few and very far in between. We don't hear it often. And therefore, we think it is not true. I have a very good example of this. I need one volunteer to work with me on this. Anybody?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Oh, not read. I need a volunteer to work with me, to be sort of a buddy. So, Kirtida Mataji, I'll invite you to be that, okay?
Sure, Prabhuji.
All right. So, let me ask you a question, Mataji. You want to be happy in life?
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right. You know what, Mataji? If you give me $200,000, all right, and you work hard for 4 years, whatever I say you do, hard work, legal, okay? I'm not asking you to do anything illegal. I'm not going to ask you to go rob a bank or anything, only legal things, okay? But 4 years of hard work, whatever I tell you, plus, so you have to do that, plus you have to give me $200,000. Then you will be happy in your life. Will you do it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
You will do it? Without asking me any questions? Does it sound fishy?
No.
How many of you say you would do it?
No.
You only have to give me. I'm not giving you, I'm not saying, I'm asking you for your money. I'm asking you for your time, effort, all those things. And I'm telling you, at the end of it, you will be happy. Will you be doubtful,
not
or
possible.
you will, huh?
One must have doubts. It cannot say immediately. Cannot hand over the money.
How many of you will have doubts? Can you raise your hands?
I will have doubt. Why should I give you?
Yeah.
See, a lot of devotees are raising their hands. Okay. Very nice. Okay, you can lower your hands. What I was talking about is college education. You are a high school child, and I am talking about college education. It takes 4 years of hard work, and you have to pay 200. That is the standard rate in the United States today, $200,000. Now, if I tell you that what I was actually talking about was college education, how many of you would be willing to do it?
Then willing.
Now tell me, let me ask the reverse question. How many of you will doubt it?
No. No doubt now.
No doubt.
No doubt, isn't it? Why is that? Why is the case? Why did the opinion change 180 degrees?
It is an institution.
An authority.
No, authority, but still, do you know, you have to go convince people.
No, the doubt is clear now. The doubt is clear now.
No,
initially it was a doubtful.
Education is important.
Reason is
No.
Purpose got cleared.
No, that is not the point. It's not about that just because I said it is college education, what I was talking about. The point is that it is a very, very tried and tested mechanism. There are so many proofs about it. You look here and there, so many successful people are there. You say, oh, do you have a college education or you are a high school? What is your highest education? Let us say. Somebody will say high school, somebody will say college. There is a high correlation between, successful or whatever, more money you make or whatever may be the material success criteria. That is why these colleges spend so much money on marketing. Please join a college. Go to the SAT website or something. They are trying to tell you that a college education is important for a good, happy future. There is a lot of agreement about it. There is a lot of examples you can see around. That is what is missing in Kali Yuga about the promise being made about bhakti. In Satyuga, for example, you do not have to, it's like, today's college education. You have to, it's very straightforward for somebody to perform devotional service or bhakti because it is as well understood as college education is understood today. But it does not take away, whether in Kali Yuga or Satyuga, it does not take away the value of bhakti. The value of bhakti remains the same. It's just that our perception of its rate of success, the number of examples around us, etc., are very few, because very few people even try it. Among those who try it, very few try it seriously, and therefore there are no examples. And because we are so much entrenched and drowned with so much of other kind of material bombardment that you can do this and you will be happy, you go to a movie, latest movie, you will be happy, you whatever, go into the bar, you will be happy, you get more money, you will be happy, the more followers you have, go into politics, or you do all kind of materialistic things, you will be happy. So we are being bombarded with all these alternatives, and we have forgotten the real alternative. That's like trying to tell a high school student, go sell some drugs, you'll get a lot of money, you will be happy. Parents are trying to tell, go get a college education, but his mind is somewhere else. That is avidya. Isn't it ignorance? So that is the root cause. So even that avidya is destroyed and vidya is established simply by doing or starting the process of bhakti. Remember, we are still at kleśaghnī, and it emerges at the stage of sadhana bhakti. So you start your bhakti, vidya begins to come in. It appears by itself along with the practice of bhakti, even if there is no desire for it. One becomes convinced that this all other material nonsense that we have been looking for happiness in our life is actually not going to give me happiness. It's a false marketing pitch. The true product which will give me happiness is bhakti. Again, the way I'm putting it is like a carrot, like the first one. But the point is that bhakti eliminates avidya and installs vidya in the heart. Now we are way over time, but Sri Jiva Gosvami in his commentary has quoted these 5 verses from the first canto, second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Next time we will start with the reading of these 5 verses, 17 to 21. I invite all of you to read these verses, and then we will also read it in the class, and we will continue from there, and we will complete now the number of verses is very few left from here till the end of the chapter. So my goal is to complete the chapter next week. So what we have covered today, so Krishna Bhakti destroys the root cause, which is avidya or ignorance. So we will stop here and see if there are any questions or comments. So let us see. Medha Mataji, you have your hand raised. Is there a question or a comment?
No, Prabhuji, by mistake.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anybody else has any comment or question? Yeah, so Sai Prabhu is also making the same comment that very few directly observed success stories in bhakti. Dhruva, Gopakumar, etc., very few in this age. Well, yes, Dhruva and Gopakumar are definitely examples, but in today's modern world also there are so many examples. And especially, if you go and find out, go and look, in places, in the right places, if you go in Vrindavan, you will find a lot of fakes as well. The fake, you want to go buy a diamond, you'll have 10 shops which will sell, what do you call?
Zircon. Zircon.
Zircon, or it's also artificial jewelry, where it's artificial by brand itself. You can 500 rupees you can get a diamond necklace. Obviously in 500 rupees you cannot. Plus there will be some cheaters who will try to sell glass by calling it diamonds and charge you the diamond price. But it doesn't mean that you cannot buy real diamonds. You have to go to a trusted shop and then you pay the full price and you can get real diamonds. There is no problem in that. So yes, the number of shops that sell real diamonds are probably drowned out by the number of fakes, but it doesn't mean that they don't exist. So if you go to the right place, you find out, you will see many examples in modern world of such pure devotees who are examples, success stories. Plus, especially Srila Prabhupada's movement, ISKCON, has made so many success stories, which are, it's a little bit, I would say, the ISKCON is like the high-tech version of Krishna Bhakti. There are Krishna Bhaktas who are like, in their hut or in their, small town area. You never know about them. They never put any social media. You don't know about them. But ISKCON is like the high-tech version, I would say, of that, where there is more focus on making awareness available, which is a good thing. So you can find out so much about success stories within the world. It's not true that only Dhruva Maharaj or Gopa Kumar are the only examples. That's what I'm trying to say. They are very much existent in the present world. Agreed, hard to find and hard to differentiate the true from the false. Both are hard. But it doesn't mean that those success stories are impossible. They are very much possible, just like even today you can go buy genuine diamonds. Okay, so I don't see any other questions, so we'll stop here. Sorry for going a little bit over. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.